Change your life. My story. There was a time in my life when everything felt stuck. Every day looked the same. Wake up, eat, work, sleep, and repeat. I wasn't unhappy exactly, but I also wasn't truly living. I was just existing, like a machine running on routine. One rainy evening, I was sitting by my window, watching the drops slide down the glass. The sky looked heavy and tired, just like me. In that quiet moment, a thought suddenly appeared in my mind. If I don't change now, nothing will ever change. Those words echoed inside me like thunder. I realized that the only thing standing between me and the life I wanted was me. The beginning of change. The next morning, I made a promise to myself. Not a big one, just small. I will do one thing today that brings me closer to who I want to be. That day, I woke up early and went for a walk. The air was fresh, the world was silent, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. From then on, I began changing little things. I started reading instead of scrolling on my phone. I wrote my thoughts in a notebook. I smiled more, even when nobody was watching. I began saying thank you for small things. Each small change felt like a single drop, but together, they began to fill the empty cup of my heart. The struggle. But change isn't easy. Some days I wanted to quit. There were mornings I woke up tired, nights when doubt whispered, "You'll never change. You'll always be the same." But I kept going. I reminded myself, progress is not about being perfect. It's about not giving up. Even when I failed, I tried again. Slowly, I began to notice differences. I was calmer, stronger, and more confident. My world hadn't changed, but my way of seeing it had. A new life. Months passed. One day, I looked in the mirror and realized I had truly changed. Not just in habits, but in heart. I was no longer afraid to dream. I was no longer waiting for the right time. I was living now. I learned that life doesn't change in one big moment. It changes in 1,000 small moments when you choose to do better, be kinder, and believe in yourself. The lesson. Now, when people ask me, "How did you change your life?" I tell them this simple truth. Your life changes the day you decide to stop waiting and start becoming. Every sunrise is a second chance. Every choice, every step, every breath is an opportunity to begin again. And that's how I changed my life. Not by magic, not by luck, but by choosing to change one small thing every single day. After I started changing my small habits, something unexpected began to happen. The world around me started changing too. People who once ignored me began noticing me. Opportunities that I thought were out of reach began knocking softly at my door. But before all that, there was still one battle I had to face. The one inside me. The inner battle. There were nights when I sat alone, thinking, what if I fail again? What if I'm not good enough? What if nothing really changes? I realized that changing your life isn't about moving to a new place or buying something new. It's about fighting your old self every single day. The lazy me, the fearful me, the doubtful me. They were all inside me, whispering, pulling me backward. But I learned a secret. You can't silence your fears, but you can walk forward with them. So, I kept walking. Slowly, but steadily. The turning point. One morning, I was walking by the lake near my home. The sun was rising, painting the water gold. A soft breeze touched my face, and for the first time in years, I felt proud. Not because I had achieved something big, but because I hadn't given up. That feeling, quiet, warm, peaceful, was worth more than any reward. That feeling, quiet, warm, peaceful, was worth more than any reward. From that day, I started living differently. Instead of saying, "I can't," I started saying, "I'll try." Instead of running from problems, I faced them slowly, one by one. And every time I overcame a small fear, I felt my life change a little more. A new beginning. I began sharing my thoughts online, writing small messages about hope, courage, and change. At first, no one noticed. But slowly, people began to respond. They said, "Your words helped me today." That made me realize my story wasn't just about me. It was about everyone who's trying to become better. I understood then that when you change your life, you don't just light your own candle, you light others too. The meaning of change. Now, when I look back at my journey, I smile. Change didn't come suddenly like a storm. It came softly, like sunrise. One ray of light at a time. I changed not because the world told me to, but because my heart whispered, "You deserve more than just surviving. You deserve to live." And so I did. The final message. Today, I still wake up early, write, walk, and remind myself that every day is a chance to begin again. And if someone out there is feeling lost, stuck, or hopeless, I want to tell them what I once told myself. You are not too late. You are not too weak. You can change your life. One small step, one small choice, one new sunrise at a time. That's how I changed my life. Not in one big leap, but through small, quiet, brave moments that turned my ordinary days into a new story of hope. Part 3. The New Life. It's strange how quietly life changes, not with loud moments, but with gentle ones. One day, I looked around and realized I was no longer the same person. The person who once doubted everything, now believed. The one who once feared failure, now welcomed challenges. I had finally stepped out of the cage I built myself. New paths, new purpose. With my new mindset, opportunities began to open. I started working on things I truly loved: writing, speaking, helping others find their light. People began to tell me, "Your words give me hope." Part 3. The New Life. It's strange how quietly life changes. Not with loud moments, but with gentle ones. One day I looked around and realized I was no longer the same person. The person who once doubted everything, now believed. The one who once feared failure, now welcomed challenges. I had finally stepped out of the cage I built myself. New paths, new purpose. With my new mindset, opportunities began to open. I started working on things I truly loved: writing, speaking, helping others find their light. People began to tell me, "Your words give me hope." And every time I heard that, my heart smiled quietly, because I knew how it felt to be hopeless once. Life gave me a purpose: to remind others that change is possible, no matter how lost you feel. I wasn't rich, I wasn't famous, but I was at peace. And that was everything I had ever wanted. The gift of peace. In the evenings, I would sit under the open sky, feeling the wind brush against my face. I used to chase happiness before, but now I realized, happiness isn't something you find, it's something you grow inside you. I learned to forgive others and myself. I learned to listen more and talk less. I learned that kindness is never wasted. Even the smallest kind act can change a life, sometimes even your own. And with each day, I kept learning something new about life, love, and peace. Giving back. One day, a young boy messaged me. He said, "I read your story. I was about to give up on my dreams, but you gave me hope." When I read that, I cried. Not from sadness, but from joy. That was the moment I truly understood. Changing your life is not just for you. When you change, you show others that they can too. So I began to share more. Stories, lessons, moments of truth. Each message, each conversation became a ripple in the water, spreading light outward. The truth about change. Now, when I look back, I smile at the old me. Tired, lost, scared. I wish I could hug that version of myself and whisper, "Don't worry. You'll make it. You'll find your way. Just don't stop trying." Because the truth is, you can't change your life in one day. But one day, you'll look back and realize, everything changed. Change doesn't come to those who wait for the right moment. It comes to those who decide that this moment is right enough to begin. the ending, or maybe the beginning. So here I am now, still walking, still learning, still growing. Some days are easy, some are hard, but every day feels alive. And when I see the sunrise, I whisper the same words I did on the day my journey began. If I don't change now, nothing will ever change. That sentence changed my life once, and it still does, because every sunrise is a reminder. It's never too late to change your life. Part 4. The Reflections. Change. It's such a small word, but it carries a universe inside it. When I began my journey, I thought changing my life meant doing something big, getting a better job, moving somewhere new, earning more money. But I was wrong. True change doesn't start in your surroundings. It starts inside you. It begins quietly, like a whisper that says, "You were made for more." Lesson 1. Small steps matter most. For the longest time, I waited for motivation, for the perfect moment. But I learned that change begins with action, not motivation. Some days, all I could manage was getting out of bed, walking for 5 minutes, or writing one positive line. But those tiny steps built my path brick by brick. Because the truth is, small daily choices create big life changes. If you can't change your whole life today, just change one thing. Even the smallest step is progress. Lesson 2. You must face yourself. The hardest battle is not with the world. It's with your own mind. The moment I stopped blaming others and started asking myself, what can I do better? Everything began to shift. Change starts when you take responsibility, not for everything that happened to you, but for what you'll do next. Lesson 3. Forgive and let go. Holding on to pain only keeps you stuck in the past. I carried anger, guilt, and regret for years, but they only weighed me down. One day, I realized forgiveness isn't about others. It's about setting yourself free. When I forgave, my heart finally had space to grow. And that was the real beginning of peace. Lesson 4. Believe even when it's hard. There were nights I wanted to quit, days when everything seemed pointless. But I learned that faith isn't about being sure. It's about moving forward even when you're not sure. Change doesn't ask you to be fearless. It only asks you to keep going despite the fear. Lesson 5. Be kind. Always. When you begin to change your life, you'll notice something beautiful. Kindness becomes your strength. The more I helped others, the lighter I felt. The more I smiled, the happier I became. Because giving doesn't empty you. It fills you. A kind heart is the greatest sign of true change. Lesson 6. Never stop growing. I once thought there was a finish line, a moment where I'd say, I've changed completely. But I was wrong again. Change never ends. It keeps unfolding with every sunrise. Every challenge, every mistake, every success teaches you something new. And that's what makes life beautiful. You're always becoming a better version of yourself. The final reflection. Now I understand. Changing your life doesn't mean becoming someone else. It means finally becoming who you were meant to be. And if there's one thing I want everyone to remember, it's this. Your story is not over yet. The pen is still in your hand. You can write a new chapter, starting today. So wherever you are, however lost you feel, take a deep breath. Start small. Believe again. Because the power to change your life has always been inside you. Epilogue. The sunrise. Within. Once upon a time, I was lost. Lost in noise. Lost in routine. Lost in fear. I thought change would come from somewhere outside me. A miracle. A person. A lucky chance. But now I know. The miracle was always within me. Change didn't arrive with thunder or applause. It came quietly. In early mornings, in small decisions, in moments when no one was watching. I learned that one kind thought can change your day, that one brave step can change your path, that one honest decision can change your life. I learned that growth isn't loud. It's gentle, steady, and sometimes painful. But every scar carries a story, and every story carries light. I discovered peace doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means you become stronger. Happiness isn't found. It's built with patience, love, and forgiveness. And dreams? Dreams don't come true because you wish. They come true because you work, believe, and refuse to give up. I realized the world changes when you do. When you speak kindly, the air feels softer. When you smile, someone else finds hope. When you choose light over darkness, you help others see the way too. Now when I wake up each morning, I don't ask, what will the world give me? I ask, what can I give to the world today? Because the secret of life is simple. The more you give, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you live. And so, if you ever feel lost, if you ever feel small, remember, a single spark can start a fire. A single sunrise can change the sky. And a single choice can change your life. Don't wait for a perfect moment. Take this one and begin. Because life isn't about what you have. It's about who you become. And the journey of becoming. That's where the magic lives. Final chapter. The journey never ends. Life, I've learned, is not a straight road. It twists, it turns, it tests you. Sometimes it feels like you're moving backward. But every step, even the ones that hurt, teaches you something important about who you are. There were days when I stumbled, days when I fell so low I couldn't see any light. But I kept a small promise to myself. Just don't stop. Keep walking. And somehow, step by step, I found my way forward again. The real change. Looking back, I realize the biggest change wasn't in my job, my surroundings, or my success. It was in my heart. I learned to listen more and complain less, to appreciate the quiet moments, the smell of rain, the laughter of a friend, the calm of evening after a long day. I began to see beauty in the smallest things. And slowly, the world that once felt dull became bright again. Not because it changed, but because I did. The power of choice. Every day, we are given a gift. Choice. To stay the same or to grow. To fear or to trust. To give up or to try one more time. And each time I chose courage. Even when it scared me, I felt my life open a little wider. Because real power doesn't come from control. It comes from choice. And from believing you can begin again. The ripple effect. Change is never just about one person. When you grow, people around you begin to grow too. When you speak kindly, others learn kindness. When you rise after falling, you show someone else that they can rise too. That's the most beautiful part. Your story becomes someone else's hope. Your light becomes someone else's guide. And in that moment, you realize that your change has changed the world. Even in the smallest way. The message I leave behind. If I could tell you one thing before this story ends, it would be this. You have everything you need to change your life. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to start. Take one step and keep walking. Because the road to change never truly ends. It just keeps leading you deeper into the best version of yourself. The last words. And so, my story continues, not as someone who changed once, but as someone who keeps changing every day. Change isn't a destination, it's a way of living, a promise you make to yourself again and again. I will grow, I will learn, I will rise. And when the sun sets on my life one day, I hope it will whisper the same words that began my journey. If I don't change now, nothing will ever change. Author's reflection. A letter to you. Dear reader, if you've read this far, it means something inside you already believes in change, even if just a little. And that belief, no matter how small, is the beginning of everything. When I started this journey, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have courage or clarity. All I had was a quiet voice inside that said, "You can't stay the same forever." And I listened. That one decision, to listen, changed everything. Change is not a miracle. People often think change is sudden, that it happens like magic. But real change is slow. It's learning to love yourself after years of doubt. It's waking up one morning and deciding to try again. It's choosing to be kind even when you're tired. Change doesn't demand perfection. It asks for honesty. It doesn't want you to be someone else. It wants you to meet the person you were always meant to be. What I've learned, if life has taught me anything, it's this. You can rebuild yourself at any age, any time, any place. You can forgive your past, heal your heart, and rewrite your story. No one else can do it for you, but no one can stop you either. And the truth? You don't need to know what's ahead. You just need to take the next small step. With faith, with courage, with love. Why this story matters. I didn't write this story to show that I'm different. I wrote it to remind you that you are not alone. Everyone is fighting a quiet battle inside, to be better, to be happier, to be free. And that's okay. That's what makes us human. We fall, we rise, we break, we heal. And in doing so, we learn how strong we truly are. So here's my wish for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're lost, tired, or just unsure, I want you to pause for a moment. Take a breath. Look around you. This is your life. It's not perfect, but it's yours. And within you lives the same light that guided me. It may be small, but it's enough to begin. So go on. Start again. Change something. Even if it's just the way you think or the way you speak to yourself. Because the world doesn't change first. You do. And when you do, everything around you slowly follows. The end, or a new beginning. As I close this story, I smile, because I know it's not truly the end. It's the beginning of your story now. You have a heart that can heal, a mind that can grow, a soul that can shine. You can build a new life, step by step, day by day, with love, courage, and faith in yourself. Because one day, you'll look back and realize you didn't just change your life, you created it. And that is the greatest kind of change of all. Afterward, the light continues. Even now, years later, I still wake before the sun. There's something about that first pale light, soft, uncertain, that feels honest. It reminds me that everything begins quietly, even the biggest changes. I make a cup of tea and sit by the window. The street outside is calm. Birds stir in the trees. A few early footsteps echo on the road. And I think of the person I used to be, the one who was afraid, who waited for permission to start living. I whisper a thank you to them, because without their fear, I never would have learned courage. Change never leaves. You change isn't something that happens once. It stays with you. It shapes the way you see, the way you listen, the way you love. It reminds you that every ending is only a door waiting to be opened again. Whenever life grows heavy, I go back to the same words that began everything. If I don't change now, nothing will ever change. They still work. They always will. For you, reader. Maybe you're standing at the edge of your own beginning. Maybe your heart is full of questions. That's good. Questions are how change speaks. You don't need a map. You don't need to know the whole road. All you need is the courage to take the first small step, and the faith to keep walking when it gets hard. Because one day, when you least expect it, you'll look back and see how far you've come. And you'll realize the truth. You already have everything it takes to change your life. A quiet promise. So here, at the end of my story, I leave you with a promise. Not from me, but from life itself. Every sunrise offers a chance. Every heart can heal. Every soul can begin again. The light that changed my life now belongs to you. Carry it. Share it. Live it. And when tomorrow comes, stand by the window. Look toward the dawn. and whisper. Today, I begin again. Closing reflection. The quiet after change. After all the words are spoken, after all the lessons are learned, there comes a stillness, a silence, where everything feels calm. That's where I am now. Not racing ahead, not looking back, just breathing, living, being. For so long I thought changing my life meant reaching a destination. But now I see, life itself is the destination. Every sunrise, every laugh, every tear, every quiet moment. They are all part of the same miracle. I am still changing. Even now, I'm still learning to forgive faster, to listen deeper, to speak softer, to see beauty in ordinary days. Change doesn't end, it just deepens. Every chapter leads to another. Every step brings you closer, not to perfection, but to peace. And maybe that's what true change really means, to live each day with an open heart and a gentle smile, knowing that even when things fall apart, you have the strength to begin again. For you, who read this, if you carry one thing from my story, let it be this: you are not broken. You are becoming. Every doubt, every delay, every difficult day is shaping you into someone wiser, kinder, stronger. Don't rush it. Trust the slow magic of becoming yourself. Because someday, you'll wake up, look around, and realize you didn't just change your life. You grew into it. And so, this isn't goodbye. It's a pause. A soft breath before the next step. Wherever you go from here, may you walk gently, live bravely, and keep that little light of hope alive inside you. Because in the end, the secret remains simple. Change your thoughts, and you change your days. Change your days, and you change your life. And that is how every new story begins. Would you like a new chapter, where the narrator begins another phase of life, showing what living after change feels like day to day? A dialogue chapter, a conversation between the narrator and someone else who is struggling, showing how lessons are passed on. A poetic summary, a lyrical, almost meditative ending you could read like a daily reflection. A compiled book-style layout of the full Change Your Life story, formatted as a printable or shareable file. The days that follow change doesn't end with fireworks. It continues in the soft hum of ordinary days. After the lessons, the realizations, and the courage, comes something simple: living differently. Now, my mornings begin with gratitude. Before I even step out of bed, I whisper, "Thank you for this day." That one sentence sets the tone for everything. I no longer rush into the noise of life. I walk into it slowly, like entering sunlight after rain. A new kind of life. I've learned to love silence, to make peace with slow days, to forgive small mistakes, mine and others. There was a time I wanted success, recognition, and answers. Now I want connection, calm, and kindness. And the beautiful thing is, the more peace I found inside, the more the world around me began to feel peaceful too. It's almost like life mirrors what you hold in your heart. Moments of stillness. Sometimes, I walk by the same lake where my journey began. The water still shines golden in the morning sun. I watch the ripples move, never rushing, never still, just flowing, like life. And I realize I am like that lake now. Calm, reflective, always moving yet always whole. Change didn't make me someone new. It brought me back to who I truly was all along. Someone capable of love, light, and endless beginning. Passing the light people still come to me sometimes. They ask, "How did you change your life?" And I smile because the answer is so simple now. I tell them, start small, be patient, stay kind. Don't wait for courage. Act, and courage will come. Sometimes they nod quietly. Sometimes they cry. And I see myself in them. The same fear, the same hope, the same desire to begin again. So I listen, I share, and I remind them. They already have the light they are searching for. And so, life goes on. Days pass. Seasons change. There are still challenges, storms, doubts, tears. But they don't scare me anymore. Because now, I know. No matter what happens, I can begin again. Change isn't something that happens once. It's something you live, again and again, with every sunrise. The quiet truth. In the end, life isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming present. To live fully in each breath. To love deeply, forgive easily, and dream endlessly. And if you ever forget where to begin, just stand still for a moment, take a deep breath, and whisper, "If I don't change now, nothing will ever change." And let the light inside you lead the way. Would you like me to continue with one more final chapter? Letter to my future self. Dear me, I hope when you read this, you're somewhere calm, maybe near a window with soft light falling on the floor, maybe outside where the wind carries the sound of birds. Wherever you are, I hope you still pause long enough to breathe and feel the world around you. Remember how far you've come. There was a time when you doubted everything, even yourself. You thought change was impossible. But you proved that even small steps can move mountains. If life ever feels heavy again, go back to the beginning. Sit quietly. Listen to your heart. It still knows the way. Don't forget the little things. Keep waking up early to see the sky change color. Keep saying thank you before the day begins. Keep choosing kindness when it would be easier to stay silent. Keep forgiving. It will free you every time. If you ever feel lost, don't run. Walk slowly. You'll find the path again. Hold on to wonder. Don't let the world make you tired of beauty. Notice the way sunlight falls on leaves. The way laughter feels lighter than air. The way even the smallest dream can fill a room with hope. When life feels ordinary, remember, ordinary is the place where miracles quietly hide. What truly matters. You don't need to be perfect or successful in everyone's eyes. Just be kind. Be real. Love deeply, even when it hurts. Forgive, even when it's hard. And keep learning. Because growth is what keeps the heart young. If you ever wonder whether you've made a difference, look at how gently you live now. That's the proof. A promise. Promise me that you'll never stop beginning. Promise that you'll keep finding reasons to smile, even when the world forgets to. Promise that you'll remember where you started. Not with confidence, but with courage. Not with certainty, but with hope. And if you ever forget everything else, remember these words. You changed your life not by chance, but by choice. And that choice will keep changing you, again and again, for as long as you live. With love. Me. The conversation. It was a quiet afternoon. The sun was soft, the sky a calm blue. I was sitting on a park bench reading, when a young boy came and sat beside me. He looked lost in thought, his eyes heavy with questions he hadn't yet asked. After a few moments, he said softly, "Sir, can I ask you something?" I closed my book and smiled. Of course. He hesitated, then looked at the ground. "How do you change your life?" "I've tried, but nothing seems to work." His voice trembled the same way mine once did. It felt like hearing my own younger self speak again. A gentle answer. I thought for a moment before answering. "You don't change your life all at once," I said. "You change one small thing, and then another, until one day, everything feels lighter." He looked at me, waiting for more. So I continued. "Start with what you can control. Wake up and make your bed. Eat properly. Say thank you for small things. Forgive yourself when you fail. And above all, keep going." He frowned. "But what if I fall again?" I smiled. "Then you get up again. Falling isn't the end. It's just part of the walk. Passing the light." He was quiet for a while, thinking. Then he asked, "Did you ever want to give up?" I nodded. "Many times. But one day, I realized something important. Life only changes when you do. Not the world, not the people. You. And once you start changing inside, the world starts to look different too." He looked up, his eyes brightening just a little. So, it's really possible? I laughed softly. It's not just possible. It's natural. You were born to grow. You were made to begin again. A small goodbye. The boy smiled for the first time. He stood up, thanked me, and started to walk away. After a few steps, he turned back and said, "Maybe someday, I'll tell someone else what you told me." I nodded. "That's how change continues," I said. "One story at a time." And so, it goes on. I watched him disappear down the path, sunlight falling around him. For a moment, everything felt still. The trees, the air, even time itself. And I realized something simple and true. Changing your life isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong conversation between who you were, who you are, and who you're becoming. And that conversation never really ends. The final message. Life is not about how fast you change, but about how deeply you grow. Change doesn't arrive with noise or grand success. It comes quietly, like morning light slipping through curtains. One day you simply wake up, and the pain that once ruled your heart feels softer. The things that once frightened you no longer have power. And that's when you realize you did it. Not perfectly, not quickly, but honestly. You learn to forgive yourself. You learn to speak kindly. You learn to love again, to begin again, to live again. Every sunrise became a reminder that life was never about being someone else. It was always about becoming yourself. So wherever you go from here, carry this truth gently. You don't need to wait for a perfect moment to change your life. The moment you decide, truly decide, that your heart deserves peace, the world inside you will begin to heal. And once you change within, everything outside starts to glow differently too. End of story. But not the end of the journey. Because every day you wake up, you get another chance to change your life again. After the story, if you've come this far, it means you've walked with me through every step, the doubt, the courage, the fall, and the rise. So now, I want to tell you something simple, from one traveler to another. You are already changing. Even if you don't see it yet. Even if it feels small or slow. Every time you choose patience over anger. Every time you breathe before reacting. Every time you try again after falling. You are rewriting your life. The quiet power of choice. Change doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause or approval. It only needs you. Because when you decide, deep down, that your life deserves peace, truth, and love, the universe quietly rearranges itself to help you get there. You'll start meeting people who make you feel lighter. You'll find paths that once looked impossible opening like morning flowers. And you'll realize, the journey was never about reaching perfection. It was about remembering who you were meant to be. If you ever forget someday, you might lose your way again. We all do. But when that day comes, don't be afraid. Sit down. Close your eyes. Listen to your heartbeat. It's still whispering the same truth. Begin again. And you will. Because you always can. One last thought. I may have written this story as my own, but it now belongs to you too. If it made you stop, breathe, and believe for even a moment, then this story has already done its job. So go ahead, step back into the world, carry your light, and live your story out loud. Because the most beautiful change is the one that keeps spreading, from one heart to another. And that is how you change your life. The light you leave behind. There comes a moment in every story when the writer puts down the pen and the reader begins to live the words. That moment is now, because this story was never meant to end on paper. It was meant to begin in you. Every step matters. One act of kindness you show today might be the reason someone else doesn't give up. One word of comfort, one moment of patience, one simple smile. Those are seeds. They grow quietly, in people you may never meet again. But their roots reach farther than you can imagine. That's what change really is. Not just fixing your life, but lighting a path others can walk too. The ripple of goodness. You may think your life is small, But no act of love is ever small. When you choose to forgive, you teach peace. When you stay hopeful, you teach strength. When you live gently, you remind the world that softness is not weakness, it's wisdom. Be the quiet light. You don't need to shout your story. You don't need the world's approval. Just live in a way that makes the earth a little kinder because you were here. And someday, someone will look at you and say, "Because of you, I believed I could change too." That is the greatest legacy of all. To be a light that keeps on glowing long after the story ends. The real ending. Change your life. And the world will change a little with you. That's how it begins. That's how it continues. That's how it lasts. Forever. The journey never ends. There will always be another sunrise. Another morning that greets you with its soft light and quiet invitation. Try again today. You'll wake up, stretch, breathe in the air, and realize that the world still waits for you. Patiently. Kindly. Because life is never finished. It keeps unfolding, moment by moment, asking only that you show up for it. Each day, a new beginning. Some days will feel bright and effortless. Others will feel heavy, like walking through rain, but both are part of the same sky. On good days, be grateful. On hard days, be gentle. Both kinds of days are teaching you how to live. Every time you fall, life gives you another chance to stand. A little wiser, a little softer, but still standing. Remember what you learned. When doubt returns, and it will, remember what carried you here. Hope, patience, and the quiet belief that you could change. You didn't give up when it was hard. You didn't stop when it was slow. And that strength will never leave you. The voice inside you that once whispered, "Begin again," will keep whispering, softly but surely, for the rest of your life. The next chapter is yours. I've told my story, but now, it's your turn. Write your days with kindness. Fill your pages with laughter and courage. Meet new people. Explore new places. Learn new things. Let life surprise you again and again. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, someone will ask you, "How did you change your life?" And you'll smile, just like I once did, and say, "One small step at a time." The last line. Because in the end, change isn't a chapter that ends. It's a way of living. A quiet, beautiful promise to never stop becoming who you were meant to be. And as long as you keep that promise, your story will go on forever. The quiet morning. After. The morning after change always feels different. Not louder, not brighter, just clearer. The air feels lighter. Your steps feel easier. And though nothing outside may look new, something deep within you has shifted. Like the tide turning back toward the shore. You've made peace with your past. You've learned to listen to your heart again. And now, the world looks softer, as if it's been waiting for you all along. The beauty of ordinary days change doesn't mean every day will be perfect. It means you've learned how to stay calm, even when it isn't. There will still be moments of sadness. But now you know, sadness too is part of growth. It waters the roots of wisdom. There will still be mistakes, but you'll meet them with patience, not punishment. There will still be fear, but you'll walk through it. Because you've already proven that courage lives within you. The gift of stillness. In this new quiet, you'll discover something beautiful. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't shout or demand attention. It simply is. It sits with you as you sip your tea. It walks with you in the evening breeze. It hums softly while you fall asleep. Peace is the gentle reminder that you are exactly where you need to be, and that's enough. When you look back, one day you'll look back and smile, not because everything was easy, but because you kept going when it wasn't. You'll see how every tear watered your strength, how every silence taught you to listen, how every loss made room for something new. You'll realize that life was never about control. It was about trust. Trusting that even the hardest chapters were leading you towards something softer, something true. A gentle farewell. And so, the story doesn't end. it simply becomes life. Quiet, steady, and endlessly full of chances to begin again. When you wake tomorrow, take a deep breath, look at the sky, and whisper, "Thank you. I'm still here." Because that's what it means to have truly changed your life. To keep waking up, to keep loving, to keep becoming. Epilogue. And still, I rise. There are mornings when the world feels too heavy, when dreams seem far away, and silence feels endless. But even then, somewhere deep within, a small voice whispers, "Rise." And so I do. Not perfectly, not boldly, but softly, slowly, faithfully. I rise for the promises I made to myself, for the love I haven't yet given, for the laughter waiting in unseen days, for the light that never really left. Each sunrise becomes a chance, a quiet reminder that endings are only new beginnings wearing a different name. I rise because I've learned that strength is not the absence of pain, but the decision to keep walking through it. I rise because my heart still believes in healing, in hope, in tomorrow. I rise because life, in all its imperfections, is still achingly beautiful. And if someday someone reads these words and feels less alone, then my rising will not have been in vain. Because change was never just about me. It was about all of us, finding light together in a world that sometimes forgets how to shine. So I rise, and I will keep rising, again and again, for as long as the sun keeps finding its way back to the sky. The open sky. When you finally step outside after the storm, the air feels different, lighter, as if the world too has exhaled. You walk slowly, not because you're tired, but because you finally understand that there's no need to rush anymore. Life isn't a race to some distant peace. Peace is already here, in every breath, in every heartbeat, in this simple moment of being alive. You don't need to know where the road leads. You just need to take the next step. Sometimes it will be uphill. You'll sweat, stumble, and question why you started. Other times the path will be soft and bright, lined with laughter, love, and sunlight. Both are sacred. Both are yours. Because every road, no matter how winding, teaches you something true about yourself. Becoming the light. One day, you'll meet someone who's standing where you once stood, confused, afraid, ready to give up. And without even realizing it, your words, your calm, your story will be the light they've been searching for. You'll smile gently, and maybe you'll say, "Change takes time, but it begins now, with you." And just like that, the light will travel on, from one heart to another. The sky above you. When the days are kind, look up. When they are cruel, look up again. The same sky holds both sunshine and rain. It never chooses one over the other. It simply allows both to exist. So let your heart be like that. Open, vast, unafraid of change. Let the clouds pass. Let the light return. Because it always does. And so, it continues. This is where the story becomes life again. Not in the words, but in the choices you make after them. In the quiet mornings when you decide to be kind. In the difficult nights when you choose to stay hopeful. In the ordinary days where you simply keep going. That's where real change lives. Not in grand moments, but in gentle ones. And as long as you keep walking beneath this open sky, you'll never truly stop changing. Breathe, breathe. That's all you need to do right now. In, out. Let the air fill your lungs. Slow, steady, alive. Let it remind you that you are still here. You've walked through shadows, and still, you shine. You've fallen, and still, you stand. The world may not know your battles, but the sky has seen every tear, and the earth has held your every step. You have already come so far, and you are still becoming. So breathe. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally understand. You don't have to rush to be okay. Healing is not a race. Peace is not a place. It's this quiet inhale, this patient heartbeat, this gentle moment of being. Let go of what's gone. Be thankful for what's here. and stay open for what's coming. Because as long as you breathe, life is not finished with you yet. And that is a beautiful thing. The end and the beginning. How would you like to continue from here? I can. Create the finished book version, a calm, well-designed PDF or ebook that gathers all chapters together. Write a short companion piece, something new, like Begin Again, the first day after change, which feels like the next story. Help you reflect personally, turning the lessons from this story into a simple life plan or journal guide you could follow day to day. Which path sounds right to you?